Before I get into what I was going to talk about tonight, I wanted to share something that happened to me today. I don't know if Zach remembers, but a couple of months ago, I started thinking about a lady that I went to massage school with, and we had gotten really close, and I couldn't remember her number. I didn't have it in my phone. I looked, and I was able to pull up like a home phone number online, and it was disconnected, and so I asked Zach to try to look into it, but I never sent him the information. And this morning I got off the phone with Zach on my way into work, and I was praying, and this lady's name popped in my head that I used to clean house for, and our mutual friend was the one that I went to massage school with. So I thought, I need to look and see if I have her number, and I did. So I asked her for Julie's number, and she sent it to me, and I called Julie on my lunch break today, and I told her, it's been like 12 years since I talked to her. I was pregnant with James, and I told her that I was just thinking about her, and nothing happened specifically for us to lose contact. It just, I had kids and life gets busy, and I was going through a really difficult time in my life when she was around, and she was about 10 years older than me, but we just kind of clicked, and she was always somebody I could talk to and hang out with, and just a positive influence in my life. And I told her how much that meant to me, and we're going to have lunch next week, but she stopped me and she said, I've had a really bad day today, and you just uplifted my day just by calling and telling me how much I meant to you. And then that made me cry, and it was a whole thing. But 12 years, she didn't know what she meant to me. When I had Lily, I had nobody. I was all by myself. Lily's dad didn't want to be around, so I went through the pregnancy alone, and when I got home from the hospital, Julie came over and brought me like 4 pans of food, and you know how happy I was. I was set. So she was an amazing person, and I can't wait to see her again. So although you don't think it's going to be much when you tell somebody how much they mean to you, of all days, for me to call her on a day that she's depressed and feeling down about herself, after 12 years of not talking to this person. And what's weird is when I clicked on the number that Mindy sent me, Julie's number was in my phone. It wasn't in my phone 2 months ago. I know I looked. I didn't have it in there, but it was in there saved, Julie Sumner, and I was like, okay, God, it was your timing that I wasn't supposed to call her 2 months ago. It was your timing that I was supposed to call her today. And I've got so many other stories like that, but we'll do that another time. Tonight, I want to talk about fear. And that's a big one because we all let fear kind of control us at times. Last Wednesday morning, I was sitting in my craft room having coffee after the kids got on the bus. And sometimes I'll play music, sometimes I'll craft, or sometimes I'll listen to a sermon, but this morning I was just quiet and sitting there and thinking about this verse that's on my mind daily. And then this scene from a movie kind of popped in my head, and I love this movie. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I don't know if any of you have ever seen Apocalypto. I love that movie. Mel Gibson directed it. It's about the Mayans. I love history, so I was all over it when it came out. If you don't like subtitles, Zach falls asleep every time I try to get him to watch it. But it's a great movie. But this scene popped in my head, and it's like in the beginning, the setting is like a tribe outside of the Mayan city, and the men are out hunting, and they kill like a wild hog. I think, what do they call it, tapir, I think is what they call it. But they're over there cutting it up and talking, and this other tribe starts walking through the forest. And so they stop and they start looking, and the leader kind of brings them up like some fish. And the chief, who is Flint Sky, he, tells them about these lands are really good. This is my son Jaguar Paw, and he's going to hunt this land after me. And the guy's like, well, this is a peace offering to trespass, like, so we can pass through. And as they're passing through, they're noticing that everybody in the tribe is in bad shape. They don't look good. And Jaguar Paw starts to notice this leader just kind of looks scared to death. And so he's just staring at him, and the leader says, our lands were ravaged. We seek a new beginning. And Jaguar Paw gets confused, and he starts to go after him, and Flint Sky says, my son, be still. And Jaguar Paw still kind of goes after him, and he says, your lands were ravaged. And he said, yes, we seek a new beginning. And Flint Sky says, my son, be still. And he kind of pulls him back. So then as they're going into the village, Flint Sky asks for the men not to talk about it with the other villagers. And he sends them on and holds his son back. And he asks him, he says, what did you see on the man's face? And Jaguar Paw looks confused, and Flint Sky says, fear, deep rotting fear. And Jaguar Paw just kind of looks at him, and he says, he was overcome by it, because fear is a sickness, and it will consume you, and it will taint your peace. And he says, I did not raise you to live in fear. Strike it from your heart and do not bring it into our village. And so they go on, but that scene popped into my head, and I started thinking about how easy it is to see a situation and our minds start asking the questions that Jaguar Paw was asking, like, what happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? And our Father, who's God, is trying to say, like, whoa, be still, come back, don't get overworked by all this, don't let this consume you, don't let this get into your mind. So we're going to turn to Ephesians 6:17, and we're just going to focus on this one little part about the helmet of salvation. And although the whole body of armor is important, you don't protect the body if you don't protect the mind. So when we think about what goes through our heads daily, from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed, how many times a day do you think that something goes through your head that discourages you, causes you stress, causes you anger, sadness, or anything that is not of God? This one does. So when we think of a helmet, we think of just protection of our head, right? We don't think about the mind. Derek Prince says that the helmet represents a confident expectation of good and is a critical, proactive, and daily spiritual defense to maintain victory and combat against pessimism. Guarding your thoughts is probably the most important thing you can do to keep yourself from being attacked from the enemy and keeping fear out of your heart. Because the filtration of the body system is whatever goes in your ears and goes in your eyes is going to come down and go out your mouth, down to your heart. It's going to harden your heart, cause anger and bitterness, You're going to react with your hands. Catch these hands. No, I'm just kidding. And then sorry. It's going to poison your body when it comes down to it. So as a new Christian, like thinking about 2.5 years ago when I started my walk, I had to really be careful because I noticed that things were changing, and I noticed that my taste in music was changing. I noticed that my taste in movies were changing, and God will do all that for you, but you have to be open to it because a lot of times we do fight the flesh and we try to fight it. But I'm not saying you can't listen to regular music every now and then, but you really need to pay attention on what words are going in to your heads. Some of the stuff that the kids listen to, I'm just like, I can't even. You don't have complete control over it with your kids 99% of the time. It's really hard, especially when they go to school. But as for me, I know that my day is better if I wake up and I put on the helmet of salvation and I keep it on until I go to bed. And then I'll wake up and put it on again, because thankfully now I'm in a place where I can take that to work with me. But I know there's a lot of places that people work that you can't listen to Christian music. You can't have positive affirmations said to you daily. You have difficult people in your lives. So when thinking about like the filtration system and how it works, we have environment, and we have the people in our environment, and then we have the messages that we're getting daily. So when you're in an environment that you can't control, because normally you do control who your friends are, and sometimes God controls that for you, because starting this walk, I had some pretty close friends. Zach had some pretty close friends, and now we don't talk to those people anymore. And it's not because we don't like them, but every time I start to miss somebody and I call them and I'm like, we should hang out, I get reminded why we don't hang out. So it's really different when you start going through this and you have to change things. If you've grown up in church and you've had, this way of life your whole life, I mean, that's awesome. But it's really hard to flip the switch. I mean, I used to love scary movies. I could go to sleep with people screaming and it did not bother me. I can't even look at the cover of a scary movie now. Thankfully, God has, done a lot of things in me that have changed things. But when we think about guarding our thoughts and what goes in through our heads and keeping it from changing how we react and what we do, it goes with everything. Down to the music. I mean, Zach and I will be hanging out and he'll have worship music on and then some kind of crazy song will come on. I don't even know. It's like the enemy's like, hey, remember this? You used to get pumped up and want to go kill somebody. So like, let's listen to this for a while. And he's like, I don't know why this keeps popping up. And I'm like, it's the enemy's trying to get you to not even listen to God anymore. He's trying to distract you the best that he can. So you got to keep your helmet on. So I really want to focus on that in Ephesians about guard your thoughts. As a new Christian, it's not as easy as if you've been in the walk for a while. You've been doing it for years and you know how to handle. Chris has to go into a prison full of people that are, in very, very bad spiritual places. But without your helmet on, and Ken is your, handy sidekick.
My bodyguard.
Yeah. It would be hard for you to stay focused, right? Buddy, you go out and deal with a lot of people too. You go and deal with the homeless, and not everybody's welcoming when you're going out there trying to give them stuff. You would think that they would But especially when you're going out there talking about Jesus, they're going to reject that. But you've been doing it a while. You know how to use your helmet, right? I mean, it's not going to do you good to put on the full armor and leave your helmet off, because, I mean, as soon as your head gets taken off, everything else just falls down. So...
Did you learn that from your movies?
Yeah, I've learned that from that was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Merely a flesh wound.
I thought it was the horror movies that taught you that. Yeah, go on.
So the funny thing about that is my dad is the one that got me on the scary movies. Is the Twilight Zone. But I can't watch that stuff anymore. I mean, we hardly watch anything anymore. I turned it on something the other night, and it was on the Angel Network, but it was Still Hope. It was about a trafficking thing where a girl got abducted, and he fell asleep, and I turned it off towards the end, and I started realizing my thoughts were being contaminated, because then I started to worry about trafficking, and then I had to pray, which, 2 Timothy, about God didn't give us the spirit of fear. I always have to do that when things are bothering me. Not everybody's the same, but I can't watch the news. I know that I will take it upon myself emotionally. I will care too much. And that's something I have to give to God, and I can't handle it on my own. So I have a Zach who tells me the main things that are going on in the world. Otherwise, I don't watch the news. I don't really get on Facebook. I don't scroll. I don't watch reels, because you will be watching something positive, and then something negative will pop up, and then before you know it, you're stressed out about something happening in another country that you can't even control. So if you send me reels, sorry, Aaron. I know you used to send me a bunch and I wouldn't open them for days. That's just, it's something that I just don't really, I don't open a lot of them, because it becomes something where I have to guard my thoughts. And not that you were sending me anything bad, it's just the stuff that pops up after. But if we're hanging around people in our environment that are filling our heads with negativity, then that is going to poison our bodies, and we're going to go home and take it to our family. So I was hoping Jamie would be here tonight, because she's a good actress. But I need a volunteer, a woman and a man, if you don't mind coming up here. I know y'all are all so eager. Well, these are 2 men. 3 men. I just need a woman and a man.
I thought he was volunteering to do that.
Do you want to be a woman? Okay, Zach can be a woman. Okay, so Zach, you come over here in the kitchen, because that's where
You've been waiting years. Sit.
Okay, buddies, they're married.
Dinner ain't gonna make it.
Okay, Buddy's been at work all day. He's had a hard day. He's had people cussing at him. He's had people
Run him off the road.
run him off the road. Anything that you can think of. All he wants to do is come home, and he doesn't even want to see his family. He just wants to go straight to bed. Zach's, been hanging out with
I'm making this.
Zach's been hanging out with the sewing group. And all the women in the sewing group are negative. They don't like their children. They don't like their husbands, and all they do is bash their husbands all day and talk about how bad their children are. So now Zach has been. We gotta call you something, Patsy. Okay. Zach is Patsy now. So Patsy's come home and all she's been thinking about is how Buddy didn't do this and Buddy don't do that and he don't buy her flowers and he can't do anything the way that she thinks it ought to be done and all them other women in the sewing circle thinks that it needs to be done this way. So he's mad. Buddy's already late. Didn't even call Patsy to tell him he was coming home.
To ask if she needed anything.
I feel like I was walking.
What do you think is going to happen when these two energies collide?
I don't know.
Shall we find out?
Hey, I'm home.
And why didn't you feed the kids? And why didn't you feed the dogs? And my car needs an oil change and I need some money.
Wow. No, I'm sorry. I kind of worked a little late. I just had a lot on my mind. And I didn't even think about picking up the phone and calling or anything.
Is that
I'm
any
sorry.
excuse? This dinner ain't gonna make itself.
It's not. What you making?
Nothing for you? Are we?
No, and that's exact. But I mean, it could be so worse than that. And then like with the children in the home, and then everybody involved is in a bad mood. But y'all did a great job. So. Well, I mean, do you want to do more? Do you?
Marriage counseling worked.
Oh no. Anyways, who you surround yourself with. I've learned that not only just listening to sermons and Christian music, you need to surround yourself with people who are going to speak truth from God's Word. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear when you're mad at your spouse. He should have called you. I'm talking about Buddy. Yeah, you're Patsy. Like, he should have called you. You should leave him. Like, you don't deserve that.
Yeah, you go live your best life right now.
Right. You go do what you want. You go live your dreams and follow your heart.
It's resentment, Patsy.
No, but where that's not crocheting, that's knitting.
I'm not very well qualified woman.
Are you done with the biscuits yet?
I know you did. Them dogs you didn't feed, you gonna be sleeping.
Oh, anyways,
Kids are?
y'all are gonna have to go see Chet. Ken's not here.
You started this.
I know. So now thankfully this is where I'm at today, where I have a place that I can go work, and I have, my suite that I play acoustic Christian music, or, I just fill myself with things that are very faith-based as much as I can. Because, and Dawn knows, because she's a massage therapist, you have a lot of time in your head when you're working on people, and that's when the enemy really can try. I mean, the enemy will bring up all kinds of stuff. And so before, when I was working for somewhere else, it was like I couldn't even have my Bible out or somebody said something. And so I knew that wasn't a place for me, and I'm very thankful that God has brought me where I'm at to be able to pray with people and talk to people about Jesus and not worry about if I'm going to lose my job or not, because, God has brought me this far and He's not going to let me down. But not everybody has that. And so it is very important that you try to find the best way to speak life into yourself daily. I think it was a couple of Sundays ago, Chet told Miss Carol, you keep talking to your legs. You speak life into your legs. You speak positive things that God says about you to yourself, so you build yourself up. Don't let the negative in. Don't let the enemy try to tell you different, because he will. And don't let anybody around you tell you different, because that's just the enemy talking through them. So get you a good group of people. Make sure your environment is healthy as much as it can be. I know that that's probably the worst environment. I'm just kidding. But that's about all I have tonight. Mainly, when it comes to fear, it's those little things that we say to ourselves that make us more afraid than anybody else can, because we know the worst part of ourselves and we will wear ourselves out about it, and the enemy loves that. The enemy doesn't even have to do anything. The enemy just can keep you distracted. The enemy doesn't even have to talk to you. As long as he can keep you distracted enough to where you're not hearing God and what God thinks about you, and like Chet's been talking about, do you love yourself the way God loves you? If you're listening to the enemy, you're listening to your own thoughts, then you're not hearing what God thinks about you. And that part about the fear, if you let fear go into your ears and in your eyes and down into your heart, it's just going to wreck your whole body and everybody around you. So, fear not and be strong. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for that.